great pleasure. I am Dr. T.S. Chandrasekhar, Governor of American College of Gastroenterology, India region, and bring warm greetings from the American College of Gastroenterology as a member webinar subcommittee and the World Gastroenterology Organization as the member scientific committee, and from the Dr. M.G.R. Medical University as the distinct professor of this. And from my own institute, conducting this program, Med India Hospitals and Academy. The first three series of international webinars endorsed by ACG saw over 19,000 participants from all over the world. Who will not be inspired to start the fourth series of webinar? That's what we are conducting now. So we gave a catchy title, name the topic, the world experts are here, with the motto that news, that is the new Endo-GE webinar series. This is what now. And we were very fortunate to have Professor Jonathan Lighton, the president of American College of Gastroenterology, to inaugurate the session. And this session starting, the third series was April 24 to 25. The fourth series is from April 25 to March 26. The icing on the cake was the participation of a Nobel laureate, Professor Dr. Barry Marshall, the discoverer of Helicobacter pylori. He gave the topic on how did he discover and what motivated him and what are the difficulties he came across. It was attended by over several thousand delegates. The journey of discovery of Helicobacter pylori and further. So this is the very important. After that, our webinars took further momentum on this, and these webinars would not have been possible with the help rendered by my colleague Dr. Gokul Satya, Raja Yogesh, Dr. Prasad, and Dr. Jnana Sambandam. And this time we are the fourth series. We are going to have so many luminaries as the international faculty and national faculty who is who in gastroenterology in India and throughout the world. They are attending our participating, and we have several interesting topics to this. And this has been possible further. We have eminent people moderating our webinar, and panel is equally showing great interest and coming fully prepared to ask very important questions. And we started the fourth series of type 2 diabetes mellitus and diabetes and GI tract, systemic hypertension and portal hypertension, dyslipidemia and fat and liver, pharmacotherapy of obesity and endoscopy and surgical management of obesity. And we had a very interesting session, doctor and law and doctor and ethics. Now we are going to have today doctor and research grants, and the further is doctor and finance and doctor and entrepreneurship next month, and research methodology part 1 and part 2. This is just to gear up ourselves so that we'll be well versed with the research methodology. And next we are going to have master health checkup in gastroenterology, to do or not to do, precancerous lesion, not to miss, screening methodology and management. And in February 2021-22, we are going to have the live demonstration of the various advanced and basic endoscopy procedure. And March, we will be winding up this fourth series with a debate that endoscopy versus surgical management in gray areas in gastroenterology. What is the physician perspective and what is the surgeon's perspective? Having done this, I just want to take you that today is the doctor research and doctor in developing. In fact, Uday Ghoshal was very particular in developing countries, what are the challenges and opportunities, so that we can exploit that. And my pleasant task to introduce this eminent faculty, without whom the webinar would not have been, would not be interesting. Dr. Mohan, actually, you can CV run into, you can tell you for one day fully, because I'm so much associated with him. I know and he's so much focused on diabetes and research. He's the chairman of Madras Diabetes Research Foundation and ICMR Center for Advanced Research on Diabetes. He's a fellow of World Academy of Sciences, global expert on diabetes, ranked among the top 2% scientists in the world as per the Stanford University Global. He has published, take a look at this. He has published over 1,780 original articles with a H index of, again make a note of his H index of 167. Maybe the highest or second highest in India with around 2,32,000 citations. He is the former president of RSSD, and recently he got a Global Impact Prize from the European Association study on diabetes. Of course, he has got several national awards too. Dr. Jayanti, whom we call her that dedicated and born to teach, teacher of teachers. She's a senior consultant gastroenterologist at Gleneagles Hospital in Chennai. She's a project expertise. You give me any topic. She came by 6 p.m. today. She's in Hyderabad. She's so much interested in promoting research and publication. And she's really, we should salute you, Dr. Jayanti. But Chiari symptoms, she's expertise in gallstone disease, portal hypertension, NAFLD. Research interest includes many things. Very important things are motility disorders, IBD, IBS, and chronic liver disease. Over 430 publications. Another very good friend who is a combination of a big clinician and a good speaker and a good thinker and finding out the research question. What many of us will lack that. Senior Consultant Chief of Gastroenterology, Dr. Uday Ghoshal, Apollo Multi-Speciality Hospital, is a visiting clinician to the Mayo Clinic, USA, professor and head department of, he was his SCPGA Lucknow, and founder and secretary general of Asian Neurogastroenterology, Indian Motility Association, past president of Indian Society of Gastroenterology. He is again one among the few gastroenterologists ranked in the top 2% scientists worldwide, according to the Stanford University. His publications not less than 400 with a H index of 71. We again, Dr. Uday Ghoshal, we salute you as the pure in our important personality in the field of gastroenterology. KT Sanai I have been seeing for the last 2-3 decades, and he's always fully involved in the inquisitiveness and a great appetite to learn gastroenterology, Anandapuri hospitals and the Sri Gokulam Medical College, and he has got a wide range of interest. What I found him very interesting with him is so much keen when others were not showing any interest. He was interested in epidemiology and research potential, exploring and ongoing clinical trials and research areas include chronic liver disease epidemiology, scarred liver in Trivandrum, and sarcopenia and cirrhosis outcomes. So these are the people. And equally, I don't have time to explain so much in detail, but it doesn't mean that they are not important. But their panel is there. Professor Dr. Verghese Thomas is such a great clinician. You interact with him and you name any conditions in gastroenterology, common or rarest, he'll be able to narrate it so beautifully. And he right now consultant gastro Malabar Medical College Hospital, Kozhikode, Kerala. Another good junior of mine, whom I always tell them, he is going to be the future of gastroenterology in this part of western part of Tamil Nadu, is the Professor Dr. L. Venkatakrishnan, Professor H, Department of Gastroenterology, PhD Institute of that. I think Jayanta Samantha will be joining soon, and he's another very elegant endoscopist and the assistant professor, postgrad Institute of Medical Education and Research. Jayanta, I think you are there, and so we are going to have I welcome all our national ambassadors. What we designed our webinar to be successful and to be really penetrating into every nook and corner, every part of the cities and the small centers also. We we nominated eminent personalities in various cities from Chauval, Pravir Roy, Ramesh, and Srinivas Rao from Andhra. Right now, I see Aravind Gopi, Girish Kumar from Odisha, and Ashish Agarwal from Jodhpur, and Nirmal Jeet from Punjab, Rajiv from Maharashtra, Venkat Iyer from Gujarat, and Jain Ghosh from Jharkhand, and Ashish Kumar Jha from Bihar, and so on. And usually we appointed international ambassadors so that will carry the message of sharing the knowledge and sharing the power of the what is new in technology. In USA, Malaysia, Nepal, Dr. Sitaram is there, Bangladesh, Dr. Farooq, Nigeria, UAE, Australia, and everywhere. Now, coming to the important thing, we will move on to the lecture number one is doctor and research. Who can be a better person? Dr. Mohan, having listened to him there. So again, once again, I welcome you to all. Welcome you all to this fantastic evening to listen to Dr. Mohan, and followed by back to back we'll have two lectures. After that we can take up the questions. We already received 30 questions from our registered delegate. We'll take up along with the other question, and this is what it is now. I welcome Dr. Jayanti.
Yeah. Good evening to all. Thank you, Dr. T.S. Chandrasekhar, for this kind introduction. And before we invite Dr. Mohan Vishwanathan to give his talk, please join cross along we were working Palan, and there's one big lots of x-rays. Then Roypuram, both of us went by bus, and we went there and started scratching our heads. And lo and behold, I think that was the very first paper on chronic calcific pancreatitis, difference between alcohol and. So I think research is something that has to be a passion that is ingrained in an individual. To me, a clinician should be complete with academics, with research as well. Most important, of course, is the patient care. And I've always been in small government hospitals, but always to me it was never accepting anything and always asking a question why. And the why always had an answer, and that helped me in managing many of my patients. Now I can manage most of the diseases that are there. I know if it is so. I mean, most of the research work that he or she should take up is something that is around the place that you're working in, and knowing what is the basic demographic profile of your patient, so that the patient is benefited. Ultimately, research is not for name or fame. None of us have worked for name or fame. I never knew that. I mean, Dr. Madan Gopal, they were the ones who were instrumental. He just said, this ascites is not responding to treatment, take over. So those were the questions that actually ingrained in us. And it was always, to me, research is, do not accept as such, always ask the question why. And I request Dr. Mohan now to take over and tell what should a clinician, every clinician should have some ingrained or some knowledge about research and publish. I remember Dr. Solomon Victor saying, perish or perish. You publish or you perish. But you have to publish so that it's more for the patient care rather than perishing otherwise across the country. Over to you, Mohan.
While Mohan is coming, she said publish or perish. My new motto is publish and flourish. Okay, Mohan, you have to unmute yourself. Can you unmute?
Yeah, I think it's unmuted now.
Yeah, nice.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar. It's always a pleasure to interact with you, and I always admire your energy because so many meetings you pull off. Every month you're having these meetings and getting the who is who, not only in India but abroad, including Nobel laureates. So I don't know where you get the energy and the time for this. Also meticulously arranged, and the benefit reaching thousands of people in India. Although you're in private practice, I think I really admire you doing that. Always a pleasure to work with Dr. Jayanti. We have done such programs earlier, even under your Mid India platform. So thank you, Jayanti, and thank you all for the kind words. I also see many friends, Dr. Katie Shanoy and many others whom I have known for many years. So let me get straight into the topic, and the topic is doctors and research. So you may wonder why doctors should do research. In fact, historically, I can tell you, when we started in Roypuram with my father in 1971 as a first year medical student, I joined him. And when somewhere around 74 or so, we had started the first private diabetes research center, and we applied to ICMR at that time. And that time, research means only AIMS, Delhi or PJ Chandigarh, and nobody else was actually doing research in the 1970s and so on. Private people doing research was actually unheard of. Today, we have excellent private centers which are doing top quality research, but that is not the case 50 years ago. So when we applied, in fact, the then DG of ICMR told us, don't waste time. Don't waste your time doing research. Don't teach. That is not your job. You just see patients. You're a private practitioner. You do private practice and be happy with that. We don't expect you to do research. Then we wrote back to him, you don't expect us, but we want to do. No, we don't want you all private people here in research, only government institutions and universities to do research. Lot has changed in 50 years. Today, ICMR does not see whether you're private or public or whatever, only the quality of your work matters. So a lot has changed in 50 years. So why should clinicians do research? I have this put up in all my centers saying that today's research is tomorrow's practice. So as Dr. Jayanti said, we are clinicians. We are not some esoteric lab person sitting and doing something and getting a paper in Nature and then maybe getting a Nobel Prize for it, but it has no clinical application or anything after that. For us, if the patient improves or society improves, that research has meaning. In fact, I remember my father telling me, don't just publish a paper for publishing sake. Think of the patient whom you're treating and who is it going to benefit. Otherwise, don't even do that research and don't even publish it. So that is why all doctors should have. If you don't have a scientific mind, what happens is that you do the same rut all over again, you keep on doing, and then over a period of time, you'll forget completely because medicine keeps changing. And if you don't do research, there's no reason for you to read. I'm not saying that those who don't do research don't read. There are a lot of good teachers, academicians, but research forces you to read the latest things. So I'll talk about the importance of research in advancing clinical practice, types of research, role of private practitioners, and bridging the gap between academia and community health care. So if you look at why we should do research, it certainly leads to improvement in patient care. So it increase in patients' knowledge of how to manage disease, personalized and intense care. Today is a era of personalized medicine, precision medicine, and it builds stronger patient-doctor relationship. And it drives scientific progress and professional development. While we need not, we not aspire for that. For an award, we need not work, or for getting some financial recognition or other recognition, we need not. But still, those who do scientific work will definitely remain at the cutting edge of therapeutic area, active role in evolution of medicine. As new things evolve, you are also there as part of that. For example, you are doing a clinical trial, a phase 2, phase 3 clinical trial. For example, let's take semaglutide and tirzepatide just mentioned. The drugs have come only now. But 5 years ago, when the trial started, we were already there doing the trials for that. We didn't even know the trial will succeed or not. Some of the drugs may not even come to the market. But when it comes, you have already been part of it. So you become a thought leader within the professional community. And of course, there are opportunities to author and co-author papers for publication. So what are the types of research that you can do? You can start with, so it doesn't mean you have to go in this order. You only start with case reports and case series, look at retrospective chart reviews, original articles, review articles, epidemiological surveys, quality improvement, drug devices. You can go in any order you want. It depends on where you are and at what time and at what facilities you have, which institution you're working. You may be working in a tertiary care center where you may be already doing evaluation of devices and epidemiological surveys. Then you're very lucky. But I'm talking about people who don't have anything. They just finished their MD, DM. Now they're sitting together. They don't have any funding. They have not written a grant. You can still write up your interesting cases because many of the interesting cases others would not have seen. So by writing that up, you are educating people about a rare thing or something else you've seen. Once you have 1,000 cases, if you just look at your case record, that is what Jayanti was saying. We had all those x-rays. We didn't know what to do. We didn't plan to write a paper comparing alcoholic chronic pancreatitis with tropical. We just took all the x-rays and started looking at it and said, hey, these stones are very small. They're small, speckled, fluffy calcification, more in the tail region of the pancreas. Look at the other one. It's all in the head region, big ones. They're intraductal, huge one. Then we looked up literature, nobody had published that. We said, let's publish that. Just by looking at the X-ray, you can say the etiology of the pancreatitis. Can you just imagine that? We never thought we will reach that. Purely from clinical only it went. So you can have observational studies where you analyze patient data, you can have case reports. Original research is where you really plan to do something. Can be an intervention, can be an observational study, but it's an original research article. Clinical trials, very easy to do, even in small centers now, because they want large numbers of patients. Pharma will come to you and you also get paid for it. So you get some money also for the center, and that money can then support other research. And of course, it leads to quality improvement. Now, these are outcome oriented. Suppose you look at, for example, if I was looking at my 50 branches all over India, and then I find that, okay, I'm just taking one branch, Guntur Center or Kakinada Center is not doing well. By doing the audits, I can find out that suppose all their A1Cs are still 9, whereas the others are having 8. Why are they not doing that? Then I'll find that they're not initiating insulin early or not intensifying treatment. So it helps us to improve the quality, and thereby the patient also improves. So, but these are the excuses which we normally hear. I'm in full-time practice. Where is the time for research? We don't have the expertise, knowledge. Where are the sophisticated equipment needed to do it? We are a poor country. We have other priorities. In India, we cannot do world-class research. This has repeatedly been told to me as a youngster. You cannot do, don't waste time. Do you think you're going to get Nobel Prize? Don't waste time. Even my teacher told me that. Where is the funding? India is a poor country. All wrong. I'll show you later. Okay. So Mark Zuckerberg said that ideas don't come out fully formed. A fully formed idea doesn't come. They only become clear when you start working on them. You get a problem, then the idea evolves. Chandrasekhar said when he's having lunch, pages came to him. That's how it comes. I'll be very funny and embarrassed to tell you this, but many of my ideas come when I'm having a bath. I don't know why ideas come to me when I'm having a bath. By the time I've come out of the bathroom, I've got an idea. Hey, this is great. So less like Archimedes and Eureka and all that. It happens. You just have to get started. Okay. So what are the things? First of all, ask yourself what is the research question, because unless you ask yourself research question, you will be just going around collecting something, you don't know what to do with it. So put down what is the question trying to answer. Choose an appropriate topic. See, even 14 topics were given just now. Immediately my eye spotted semaglutide, tirzepatide, diet and exercise. So immediately I was able to do that. When talk about HCC or something else, I know it is there, but I may not have the expertise or the number of cases to do that. So you choose the appropriate topic of interest to you, list all the questions you'd like to answer. You may not answer all of them. Even if you answer one question, it is good enough. And choose the best question that is neither too broad nor too narrow. If you take too narrow, you won't be able. If you take too broad, you won't be able to complete the answer. Use a step-by-step approach. Initiate small. Always start small. I'll show you at the end of my the last 4 or 5 slides are from my impact lecture at Vienna. So I summarized that in nothing. So I'll come to that in my last slide. So develop some infrastructural facilities. At least hire one research assistant, one MSc, or you don't have time. So you hire one MSc. If you have the funds, you can hire a PhD. They will do all the work for you. You just have to supervise. That is how I have been able to do all these nearly 2,000 papers and all that, because I have 200 people working for me only in research. Research alone, I have 200 people working. So naturally, if each of them writes one paper, I'll have 200 papers in a year. So it is not at all separate, but it took me time. It took me 50 years to reach there. I didn't reach it. I started with one person. I'll show you that. So gradually progress towards more advanced research. Then once you have done some work, you have a few papers. When you apply for grants, it becomes easy. They look at it. Does he have a track record? Does she have a track record? Then and do what is possible available infrastructure. It's never enough. You will find something. Oh, I don't have LCSMS and all that big sophisticated equipment. So what? Do something which is simpler. Use ELISA. Do whatever else. Simple things you can do. Don't wait to build a big research facility. Okay. So identify clinical question, do the literature research, because what you're doing after spending 2 years, you may find somebody has done it already. Why waste time? So do the research question. Today it's very easy. Using PubMed, using Google search, Scholar search, you can definitely look at the literature. Then formulate the research question, build collaboration. This is exactly what Dr. Chandrasekhar is doing. He's bringing people from all over India. If each one of you just select a topic and start working, imagine the power of that. Okay. and then draft a proposal, obtain ethics approval, do the data collection, draw conclusions, and finally publish it. I put down three things that to choose your path. Contribute clinical data. There are very often people ask us, can you collaborate? Can you give your data? I have seen some of my colleagues, no, they'll copy, they will take off, they will cheat us, they will do that. You have to trust some people. And unless you collaborate, I always give the example, you can have a small cake, a cake about this size, okay? And you can say, this is my cake. And then you can eat that cake, okay? It's all yours, full cake, but the cake is only that big. Or you can have a cake as big as my room, okay? For which you get only a small portion. But that small portion is 10 times the size of this, okay? So it doesn't mean that you don't have to do your own research. You do your own research. But when it comes to collaboration, the power goes up. So therefore, that is where collaboration comes with academic researchers, partners, bigger institutions, smaller institutions, with your friends. Lend your own research. You start your own practice, then you discuss with others, and then you go ahead and you publish. So collaboration helps. It can be local collaboration within Chennai if you want to do, or within South India you want to do, or whole of India you do, national, or you can do international also. You can climb on each other's shoulders. Somebody has got something, then you add on that, then they add something. Soon you will find you have a huge thing. Okay. So when we talk about challenges, of course there are challenges. Not only in India, all over the world there are challenges. Now, Trump is cutting the funds, not only for India, he's cutting US funding also. Wherever I go in US, they're saying, oh, our funding is cut, my research assistant is gone, this is gone, that is gone. So all over the world, there will be such challenges. Then the challenge will be upset, and we'll get over it, and then you can move on. So limited time, lack of research training, funding is a huge problem. You'll never have enough funding. Even if somebody gave you 100 crores, that may not be sufficient. You may need 200 crores, okay? But with the 5 lakhs also, you may be able to do a project. Ethical and regulatory barriers, you always have to respect that. So how do you overcome these challenges? You share some of the infrastructure. You may not have one equipment, but somebody else may have an equipment. You may not have FibroScan, but somebody else may have FibroScan. So why don't you share it and then do that? Continuous CME methods in research. You're having research methodology, I saw. That's one way to excite people. Collaboration again. Use technology. Electronic health records. You don't have EHR, how are you going to analyze your data? Telemedicine, AI-assisted data analysis, and then access to biostatistics. Today it's easy to get because people are getting trained in biostatistics, data management, huge data management is being done. So here are 3 things for navigating the regulatory landscape. First, you must obtain ethical approval, okay, from an institutional review board or an ethics committee. Ensure that informed consent is obtained from everyone. They must voluntarily give, and this informed consent you obtain before you start the project. And then you must protect patient confidentiality. There's no point in giving out all the patient data and showing it to others. What are the benefits of research for private practitioners? After all, your job is to see patients, and then you don't have time for all this. As I said, it improves patient care. When you start analyzing I didn't do so well last year compared to previous year. Evidence-based practice, okay? There is what is called evidence-based practice. There's also practice-based evidence. Based on your practice, you can develop the evidence. You don't have to get ACG to approve and tell you some evidence for you to apply. You can say, look, in my practice, I've got 1,000 cases which turned out this way. This is my evidence. And then they may accept that, and then they will come. Professional recognition will follow academic contribution. Then you're contributing to national and global health data, networking and collaborative opportunities. What about the impact on patient care and public health? Medical research leads to breakthroughs in disease diagnosis, treatment, reducing morbidity, mortality rates, and then you can discover more effective, safer, personalized therapies, and can even shape the healthcare policy of the nation. On Monday, the 30th of September, I have a paper, our team has a paper coming out in Nature Medicine. That will be our highest paper. So far, Lancet Diabetes, we have gone. But this paper is the original paper, completely done in India, completely done at MDRF, which is coming out in Nature Medicine. It's a huge paper, about 50 pages or so, with all material. So what we have done is we looked at diet in the whole country, in India, every state in the country, and linked it to diabetes, obesity, hypertension, how much you have to reduce carbs, how much you have to replace with protein, which protein, animal protein, plant protein, everything is done. It's a massive paper. is getting released on Monday, 30th September. Until then, it's embargoed, and then it will come out. So that will definitely help to shape policy, because the whole country's thing is funded by ICMR. So definitely it will help to shape policy. Career advancement, we don't have to say. Once you, many of the colleges now, unless you have papers, you won't become a assistant professor, you won't become an associate professor. So it's actually become necessary for you. Then you can get fellowships, academic positions. It helps you to get other degrees which may be given to you, PhDs, all that promotions, everything can come there. Continuous learning and innovation. When doing research, you're always learning. Curiosity, creativity, and willingness to challenge. This is what Jayanti said. Don't just accept. I'll tell you another story. When I was in third year medicine, my first posting, I just went into third year. I don't know if it's already over. First day, my professor asked me, the professor was taking rounds, asked me, what is the best way to commit suicide? So I said, why is the guy talking about suicide, of all the things? So he went on, no, tell us. He's asking all the third year students. Then we said, kill yourself, shoot yourself, jump off, this thing, that thing. Then he said, no, not all that. You eat 6 cashew every day, you will die in six months' time. Your LDL will go so high, you will get heart attack and die. Imagine teaching a third year student this. So I always thought, no, cashew sapta, you will die, So it's very bad, very bad. Finally, last 2 years ago, we did the cashew study and we found cholesterol didn't go up at all. LDL didn't go up at all. It actually increased the HDL cholesterol, and the blood pressure fell by 4 millimeters. So actually good for health, cashew. Okay, but we are taught wrongly because we couldn't challenge it because we have not done the studies. And I did it with a bias, thinking it's going to be bad, and turned out to be very good. So you should always challenge. Our teachers need not be right all the time. Private practice advantage is you have a diverse patient population. In the government hospital, you may get only poor people coming. Here you have, if you're doing charity, you'll get poor people, middle class, high income, all you will get. Real world insight you will get here only, outside a clinical trial. Advancing care, directly you can contribute to treatment guidelines. And then you already got staff on permanent salary. If you've got a dietitian, you can say, Sarima, after you finish this, you just do this in the evening. I'll pay you a little extra. You already have, you don't need full-time people. And there's less bureaucracy. If you go to government, you have to get DME permission, this permission, that permission, minister's permission, health secretary permission. It'll go on and on and on. You'll never be able to. Here you take the decision, tomorrow you can do it, because you're in private practice. I'm not saying government people cannot do, but I'm just saying in private it's easier to do. Engage your teams, train your staff, be transparent with patients about research. Tell them you are part of a thing, get informed consent, don't cheat the patients. Communication should be very good. And then highlight the successes. When you get a success, you give the thing to the team. In the award that I got in Vienna, my last slide was, I'm only a postman and I am a courier boy. You give me this award, I carry it to my team. They have got the award, but they could not come. They sent me as my courier boy. So I'm going to pick up the award and bring it to you. If you do that, say things like that, your team will respect you and they will be always very grateful to you. Bridge the gap between academia and community healthcare. You should not only sit and do high level research which has no relevance. You must bring it into the public and into public health. Only then it improves. I want to talk to you about the MDRF model and show you how with nothing we could actually start. So this is one of my slides in the lecture where I said how my journey started with my father. In 1971, as a first year medical student, I started doing research on, that is me actually, at the time. And then, I'll just try to get the laser. Yeah. So then what happened was, did we have a lab or anything? We had a car shed actually. So my father said, take that car shed. There were cobwebs there, rats were running, bats were flying, that we had to convert into, and I didn't have all these fancy equipments. This is just AI generated. We just bought a few mice and a few things and started doing actual research, hired the first researcher, and then we started off. When I left my father in 1991, I had to start all over again. And this time what happened was 1991, we started the hospital. 5 years I couldn't do any research, I was setting up. Then 1996, one room in the hospital we started. Then the next room, then the next room, then the next room, until the administrators came and said, shut up, you can't take away the whole hospital for research. So we had to get the next building, this building. And then we built a center only for research. Today we are in 4 locations. This is our Siriseri unit, 6.5 acre campus, 40,000 square feet only for research. And we have 2 more facilities where 4 locations, 20 PhD students, 20 postdoctoral scientists, and 200 staff doing only research, full-time research, nothing else I do, no clinical work. In 20, it has taken us about 30 years to do that. But slowly and steadily, we have been able to do that. So that resulted in this enormous number of publications, 1,871 publications. H-index is 169, and you can see the I-10 index. I-10 index means how many papers have been quoted 10 times. So out of 1,800 articles, some of which are reviews and chapters books, if you remove that, 1,151 papers have been quoted at least 10 times. That means almost all the articles have been quoted. And the journals include New England Journal, Lancet, Nature, Nature Genetics, now Nature Medicine coming out on Monday. So the best of the best journals, now they are writing to us. Nature writes to us, say, can you write an article? We'll be honored if you write an article for us. Once you reach that level, it takes a long time to reach there. But once you reach there, then you can. So you will say, how is all this possible? Start small. I call it as a snowball effect. You start small and then you test the waters and then expand whatever works well. At a certain stage, you may say, that's all I can do. Doesn't matter. You can stop there. Then build on your strategy. For example, when we started in research, we started in one room. Then we added more rooms, next building. Then we got to 6.5 acre. Now we have all these scientists and locations. It took us 40 years to do all that. Then epidemiology, we start with CUPS, 2 small places in Chennai. Then whole of Chennai, cures. Then whole of India, INDAB, ICMR, INDAB study. That is a study which is coming out on Monday. And then Pure with Dr. Salim Yusuf, 25 countries, 5 continents, 250,000 people followed for 25 years. Then other studies, CARS and several national and international collaborations. So my mantras for successful medical research in India is get medical students interested right from undergraduate days. If you don't do it then, they will never get interested. Build national and international partnerships, formulate good research questions, train your staff, and secure some funding. There are many government agencies to go to ICMR, DST, DBT, CSIR, and now you have the ANRF, Anusandhan National Research Foundation. There's a lot of money available for research in India. So to summarize, the future of evidence-based private practice is very bright. We should integrate research into private practice, make it part of your living and part of your life. Spend some time for it. Keep half a day only for research. Keep half a day only for charity. That is how we do that. If it improves patient outcomes, enhances professional credibility, and with the right approach, private practitioners can also be powerful drivers of medical innovation. If you look at the Joslin Clinic, the most famous diabetes clinic in the world, it's more than 130 years old. It's a private center, but it's affiliated to Harvard. And every person working in Joslin is given an associate professorship in Harvard Medical School because they're getting it free. They don't pay. Okay, why can't all government institutions involve Chandrasekhar and all of us and tell us you become professors and come and teach. We won't pay you 1 rupee. We'll be very happy to go and teach in these institutions and provide our knowledge free of cost and also our research as well. Okay, so Rome was not built in a day, but they were laying bricks every hour. You don't have to build everything you want today. Just lay one brick at a time. And I'd like to end with this quote of Jagdish Chandra Bose, who said that when one dedicates himself or herself wholly for a great object or cause, the closed door shall open and the seemingly impossible will become possible for them. So everything is available in India, including money. Just do it, as Nike says. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mohan. That was a wonderful talk. Dr. T.S. Chandrasekhar, I think Dr. Chandrasekhar will be taking after Dr.
Yeah, I think I
Best.
would agree how nicely he put it, how struggled him starting in the beginning of his career from one room to how he developed it. More than that, private practitioners now how ICMR from private practice he has moved to, they were giving only to the institution. Now they see the quality of the paper only, and whether you are from institution or you are from private.
In fact, in January, ICMR officially made us a collaborating center for research, and that means, and they told us this is not a title for you, you're going to work for ICMR. So every single day they'll send me this project, that project, they made me chairman. They said, you're part of ICMR now. So think like ICMR, only thing you're doing it free. You won't get any money from us. We are giving you recognition to squeeze you out.
For the wonderful the exposition of how research can be done in this country. And now we are going to have in developing countries like ours, what are the challenges and the opportunities. Now I call upon Professor K.T. Shenoy, one of the senior most eminent gastroenterologists from Kerala, to start the proceedings for the next topic. After that, what we are planning is back-to-back 2 lectures followed by the panel discussion. We'll go in a round. First moderator, second moderator, and 3 panelists will ask question. Then second round of question, third round. Last 10 minutes is devoted to me so that I can concentrate on the offline personalities of the our faculty. Okay, Dr. Professor Senai, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar, and all my friends, including Professor V. Mohan. We had some excellent experience when we were in Sweden attending the Asia Diabetes Congress in 2000.
Correct.
I am very happy that Dr. Uday Ghoshal is going to present the research in India based on the model which he has developed over the last 3 decades. I have known him for the last 35 years, and he has been widely acclaimed as an excellent scientist, with his name as super scientist globally in the Stanford recently released index. I am very sure that will give us his experience in research in India and what we could contribute as a nation to the global research and global well-being. Dr. Ghoshal.
Thank you. I thank Dr. Chandrasekhar for creating this fantastic platform. And I'm really happy to present on this important topic. Now, I'll be talking about challenges. Professor Mohan talked about his journey, but I'll be talking about challenges, but at the same time, I will show you the challenges are not really challenges. These are opportunities. I had the opportunity to work in a very premier institution called Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences for more than 25 years. Then I decided myself to move to the other side to show that research is possible even in that side as well. And I will talk a little bit about my journey. Now, I did a PubMed search today, just looking at 3 big countries of the world. One is India, and here is it. Gastroenterology and India was my sort of search term. And I got 13,215 results. This is gastroenterology and China, and I got 65,546 results. And this is gastroenterology in USA. I got 78,228 results. Now you see here, USA is a developed country. China is now a developed country, and India still we call as developing country. Maybe it is going to be developed soon. But if you look at the data, it shows that actually these 3 countries, though they are big countries, they are not performing equal. Now, second is look at the population of India. It is much more than population in the US. So we should have performed much better. And what are the challenges? Why we could not perform so well in research, at least in gastroenterology? Now, this is again as sort of some data from 2018, which showed that what are the situation of research in different countries, how many papers did they publish. And you can see that in the 2018, China published even greater than US. But again, the margin was not so widely different. India was third, but the margin was very, very different. Whereas China published 20% of the global share of paper, US published 16% of the global share, and India became third, publishing only 5% of the global share. So therefore, we need to perform. and why we are not able to perform so much. Maybe there are some challenges. Now, what are the challenges? Obviously, we know that there are limited facilities for research education. In fact, our research, our medical curriculum, look at our medical school, look at our MD training, and look at our post-MD training, research methodology and its application, and hand-on performance training is very, very limited. So this is one of the reasons why our doctors could not maybe perform so well. Because like the world is beautiful, but a blind man can't see. A song can be beautiful, but a fellow who is deaf cannot hear. Similarly, one can have huge amount of data, but to give shape to that data, you need technology. And technology include how to design a study, how to analyze even a retrospective data set, how to write a paper, what are the catch areas where journal catches you or peer reviewer catches you. These areas are not really taught. And in fact, I'm lucky because I did my DM and Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Science, and Professor S.R. Nayak was my mentor. He made it compulsory that all of us get this training adequately. Now, second is limited funding and research resources. So, though Professor Mohan said that yes, there is funding, but still the funding is not as much as it would be there available in China or US. So, limited funding is another reason. And maybe the distribution of the funding is also maybe sometimes lopsided, going to big institution rather than going to more peripheral sort of working personnel. Another thing is our doctors are very busy. We know the huge population that India has. Like look at gastroenterology. We have 3,500 gastroenterologists in the country. And I'm talking about from our database of ISG or Indian Society of Gastroenterology, show in which I'm currently the president. So what happened is our number of gastroenterologists are only 3,500. And look at the epidemiology of different GI diseases. These are very common. And look at the number of population or patient that we have to see. So therefore, many a time, doctors, they have a very long day. They have to work hard, and maybe they do not have enough protected time like it is given in US. And therefore, many of them may not have so much motivation that in spite of so much workload, they will go back home and will do research. There is low priority of health research, though ICMR, DST, DBT, everybody is trying to encourage research. Our societies are encouraging research such as ISG, INSL, INMA, but still the priority is less. And there is inadequate or effort to prioritize. For example, if you put 1 hour or 2 hours of work, your total time of the day for research, and give priority for research during these 2 hours, as Dr. Mohan was saying, then you will be able to perform better in research. There is slowness of system. Government system is particularly slow, as Dr. Mohan said. A private system may be faster, but still in the private system, research areas may be little slow. Maybe patient care is their priority, and therefore that will be very fast, but there is slowness in the research system. There are ethical issues. There are limited health information. For example, if you look at the data, you want to try to analyze a set of retrospective data, you may find that health information available in that data is so limited that you may not be able to bring so much meaningful messages. There is lack of collaboration. Collaboration is very, very important, and there is lack of incentive for research. But this is an article that we published in which we said what are the biomedical research situation in the developing countries, what are the opportunities, methods, and challenges. And many of the data that I'm going to present here actually are already given there in detail. Now, executing major work needs passion. Yes, executing major work. Can you mute? iPhone, can you mute yourself? Executing major work needs passion, processes, and perseverance. Three P's are very important. One has to have patience, one has to know the processes, and it is sure that one will fail. But if somebody persevere, then probably he will succeed. And the classic example is ISRO. ISRO actually launched Chandrayaan, but this Chandrayaan did not happen in one day. Like Rome was not built in a day, similarly, Chandrayaan was not successfully launched in a day. In fact, there were repeated failures which led to the success. Okay, so there has to be an winning attitude. So this is a saying. You can call the problem, you can call them the problem, or you can call them the challenges and look at them as the opportunities. And let me see if we are talking about challenges till now, are these really challenges or problem, or are they opportunities? Now we need training, and we need training because we need to know that how to design a study, how to execute a study, how to analyze the data, how to write paper. And even though Medical Council of India or DNB Council did not initiate a lot of training earlier, but the recent revised MCI curriculum, which was largely adopted from SGPGI curriculum, actually now gives research training. Though the teaching requires people in the medical colleges who should be very, very sort of expert in research, but there is an heterogeneity there, and therefore it has not yet been so successful, but it is better to begin rather than not to stop. So now also a lot of societies are giving both offline training and online training. Statistical analysis now have multiple software. Earlier, statistician was essential to do any statistical analysis. Nowadays, once you start learning the software, for which even all the software they give online help, and if you type anything in YouTube, you will get enough training from the YouTube from the expert. So therefore, there is now there is an opportunity rather than it being a challenge. Now, this is a biomedical research funding. Look at this. Different countries, how much do they spend in the research or biomedical research? And you can see there, India doesn't come at all. So that means when you name a few countries, starting from Japan to Norway, you see India is nowhere there. So that means funding in India for research is low. But what is the opportunity there? If you have to do a study in US on a particular research question, the amount of money that you have to spend may be 100 or 1,000 times greater than the amount of money that you have to spend in India. Because you get research manpower at a reasonably cheaper cost in India, because cost of living here is low. Similarly, you will get research infrastructure built in a lesser price. Many a time in US, if you want to recruit patient want incentive in the form of dollar. But in India, many patients will be happy to be a part of your study because they will think there is an altruistic approach among them. They will think they're trying to contribute something to the science. So therefore, I don't think this is a challenge for India that we do not have enough funding or sufficient funding or comparable funding like USA or Europe, but we can do the same study in a much lesser cost, which is an opportunity. Now I'll tell you, let me take an example. This is in 2005. I went to a meeting of American College of Gastroenterology in a beautiful place called Honolulu at Hawaii. And you can see in the back of me, Dr. Peaker from MAMC or MAMC is standing. So this is obviously at a much younger age than what I am today. And what happens is in one of the stalls I found, there is a stall of American College of Gastroenterology, and they are giving research projects. So there is a call for research project from American College of Gastroenterology. If you wanted to apply, please apply. I was tempted. I thought, would they give research funding to India? And why should they give? Because I was a member of ACG, but still I thought, why would they give research funding to an Indian researcher? So therefore, I actually discussed with Mark Pimentel. Mark Pimentel worked in the same field as I work. And I said, you support me by being one of the co-investigators. And he agreed. And the project was quite complex. We wanted to see frequency of a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth in patients with IBS in tropics, role of IL-1 and its receptor antagonist, and effect of eradication of bacterial overgrowth in IBS symptom. It was a very complex design. It has case control study as well as randomized control trial. We proposed rifaximin versus placebo to eradicate bacterial overgrowth and to see the inflammatory response, whether it comes down and also symptom comes down. Very, very ambitious project. Now, when I got the letter from them, and in fact, I called also SCG office, and there was a beautiful lady who was a secretarial staff. She supported me to get some information. She said, your project was discussed in length, and they were really fascinated with the project. And I thought your project is almost through. But when I saw the letter, they wrote the amount of fund that we are going to give is not going to be enough for this project. This project requires 100 times more money than what we are going to give. Therefore, it looks like an over-ambitious project, so it is not doable. So this was the letter. So it is a good project, but it is not doable with the limited funding that SCG is providing. So obviously, automatically, you will feel that I'm really sort of negated, or you will be pessimistic. But I did not become pessimist. I did not become pessimistic. But I thought, let me submit the same project in DST, or Department of Science and Technology. Only thing is, DST said in revision that since rifaximin is not available in the Indian market, and therefore you do it with another antibiotic, and we revise it to norfloxacin. But let me tell you, this is the one which brought rifaximin to our country as a Make in India initiative. In fact, rifaximin marketed in India is not imported from abroad, but it is a Make in India product. And this is primarily from this project as an offshoot. Now, what happens is DST funded the project, and we could successfully do the project and brought some paper which are landmark paper, to the extent this is the first study from world or in the world where we showed that if you diagnose SIBO, then treat with antibiotic, you have 85% surety that the patient will respond than if you don't diagnose SIBO. And subsequently, this study has been replicated in US and in China. So the Indian study was the first study in the world. We published another in Neurogastroenterology and Motility. We published in European Journal of Gastroenterology and Hepatology. And these are very highly cited papers. So the money that we asked from SCG, in a quite similar amount of funding, we could do the project, but they could not believe that this is doable with the money they were going to give. So there is a less time for healthcare personnel for research. For example, I'm taking this analogy. See, this farmer is the one who cultivates the potato. But what McDonald's does is that it buys those potatoes for a very small amount of money. It packages it beautifully, and then sell to the Indian customer and gets huge amount of money. So the doctor in India now, a particularly young generation, has to choose whether you want to be a farmer or you want to be McDonald. Choice is yours. So if you are a farmer, you will be surrounded by patients like this. You may not be always able to give high quality care because quantity and quality cannot go hand in hand. And when we will be no more, nobody will remember us. Also, as Dr. Mohan said, research increases the quality of care. Research gives you an opportunity to audit. Whether you accept or not, research gives you name and fame. We don't work for name and fame, but it comes secondarily. So the young generation has to choose whether you want to be farmer or you want to be McDonald. But I will tell you, you are in the right time to take research as your one of the priority areas. Why? Because look at this picture. Once upon a time, the wealthy people, even wealthy people, and the film star, they used to go from one village to another village in bullock cart. And this was the usual movie scene. Today, they don't go by that. Today, they go by business class or first class in a jet plane. So the situation in the society has changed. Similarly, once upon a time, people used to die of an epidemic of infectious disease such as cholera. And in those days, they were only looking for survival, not the quality of life, quality of care, or delicacy of the care. Today, actually, there is an economic development. There is a low technology gap between the developed countries and developing countries. There is a huge and unique clinical material available in India which has not been published widely. There is a high level of skill among Indian physicians and sort of gastroenterologists because we have a huge volume of the patient to do, and therefore our skills are much better. There is good knowledge in English, which China or Japan did not have. There is a desire among young people to be nationally and internationally recognized. MCI and DNB Council requirement for publish and motivation by the society. So therefore, there is all the reason why you should take up research as one of the priority area, whether you are in a big institution, public funded, or you are in private funded, corporate or practicing environment. The ethical issues and slow systems are do hinder our progress in research. But what you have to be understand, you have to ask a question at a right time. Like I'll show you that when COVID came in, many of us became COVID researchers. You know why? Because COVID was that time the major thrust area. All the journal published supplement issue for COVID-19. The journal had very huge citation and increase in the impact factor. This is because of the COVID. So therefore, we got into COVID work in relation to gastroenterology, and that's why we became successful. In fact, we are the one in the whole world to first propose that COVID can lead to long-term GI consequences and COVID can lead to IBS. So this is the first hypothesized from India and published from India in collaboration with Bangladesh. Yes, there is a limited health information. Look at this study. This study is from UK. And what they did is they surveyed children at the age of 4 years. And then what they did is they went back retrospectively from medical record whether these children received antibiotics during early life from infancy or birth till 4 years of age. Can you imagine getting this information in India? Impossible. Now, what they did is now looked at how many percentage of children became obese and then did antibiotic exposure or was antibiotic exposure associated with obesity. And they found by logistic regression analysis adjusting for mothers and seeds obesity, maternal diabetes, mode of delivery, socioeconomic status, year and country of birth, and urban or rural dwelling, that antibiotic exposure was independent predictor of development of obesity. Can you imagine doing this study in India? Impossible. You cannot get so much health information. Even people buy antibiotic on their own from the medicine source. So therefore, there will be no data. So this is problem, but when there is a problem, there is a way. Limited health information, yes, but there's a Digital India initiative. Currently, we are not having full-fledged Digital India, but government is proposing there will be a unique health ID for all Indian sort of citizen, and this from unique ID you can derive all their health information. There's a big sort of dream. Maybe in our lifetime it may not happen, but I'm sure it will happen one day, because what today you are seeing, many people 20 years ago must have thought that this is impossible. There is a lack of key research culture, but let me tell you, surround yourself with like-minded people. Here, all the people who are talking are research-minded. So you are an average of 5 people with whom you spend most of your time. So this is an opportunity. This is not a challenge. Collaboration is very, very important. And today, all the societies, like Indian Society of Gastroenterology, many other society, are inviting you to collaborate within the country and also internationally. There is a lack of incentive for research, but you look at ICMR, DST, DBT, they are giving funding. In fact, Prime Minister declared that for research, we need private partner to join so that the country can move forward. And he is even asking all the money that we have spent in research, did we make something like a product which have eased the care of the patient or brought revenue to the country? Is there a publication bias? Possible, possible. But as Dr. Mohan said, if you keep on publishing, if you keep on working, you get friends all over the world. And we do not want a positive bias, but there should not be any negative bias. That means the peer reviewer should be blind. He should not say, because it is a paper from India, therefore I'll give less priority than a paper from US, and probably with time to come, this is going to happen. But if it doesn't happen, let me tell you, India now have multiple journals. We have a reasonably good journal now within the country. Even if you look at gastroenterology, you have 4 to 5 journals, some of which are of reasonable impact factor. So I say aim high. We have an advantage of being relatively well conversant with English than Chinese people and Japanese people. So it is an advantage for us. And if nobody recognizes, world will recognize. So if you start working now, you'll realize 10 years down the line, people in the world would start recognizing you. So therefore, there is no lack of incentive. Incentive is very much there. There is a blurring of gap between public and private sector now, because now there is a shared goal of patient-centered services and quality care. In fact, the people who attend public sector are also now conscious that they should get a quality care. Also, many public sector hospital, they take high-end equipment as a private-public partnership. The library is now in your fingertips. It is in your mobile. So earlier, only institution had big libraries. Now there is no such problem. And second is, like you have MD DM program in public sector, you have DNB program in corporate sector or private sector. Therefore, the system, government system is now blurring the gap between public and private, and that may be an important ways to develop. Like in US, you don't get any public healthcare center. They're all private or corporate healthcare center. Now, this is what I imagine, because this is one of my area of work, that is functional GI disease. or disorder of gut-brain interaction. In fact, we opened the INMA Research and Education Center in Calcutta in a corporate building. We want to train people on DGBI. We want to integrate research on DGBI and motility. We want to innovate on DGBI and motility care, and we want to integrate all these three together. And there is great blurring of private-public partnership in this initiative also. So the future belongs to the learner. For the learned find themselves too well equipped to deal with the world that has ceased to exist. It is not possible that you will change the surrounding. It is good to change yourself. That's why I thought, sorry to say that in public sector, we are like cage birds. We had wings, but we could not fly because we are in a cage. There were too many restrictions imposed by the system. Now I am into the open sky like a flying bird. My wings are now wide open, and I think I can also fly like Dr. A.T. Mohan is flying. Thank you so much.
I think Dr. Shranay, you would agree with me that he really spelled out what is real challenges and opportunities are plenty. As much as opportunity, the challenges are also plenty. But overcoming the challenges and utilizing, you have to make it adversaries to advantages. That's what we have to do. And all the stumbling block will be the building block for all of us. So this is what the message from, I think Dr. Krishna, you'd agree with me. What the plan is now, we will go from question, we'll start the question from Dr. Shranay, then Dr. Jayanti, then three panelists, Dr. LVK, Dr. Jayanta Samantha and Dr. Verghese Thomas. I request to give your comment, brief comment, and ask question to the speaker or your own experience about the research in India and how doctor and research. Okay, starting with Dr. Shranay.
Yeah, Dr. Ghoshal has given a very clear picture of research in India, the challenges and opportunities. Research in India was in a public sector. When he published into private sector, they were able to fly. Just like Seagull, the Jonathan Swift Seagull's story, the story of a seagull, he is able to fly. I wanted to know more about it from Uday, because as a researcher, just like what V. Mohan told, I too applied for research to ICMR, but not in 1971, but it was in 1990s. I believe ICMR was a biased body. They were not giving too much of research grants to institutions of not national importance. 90% of the funds used to go to national institutions, which comprised of 3 or 4 in multicentric studies. A small institute like a Medical College Trivandrum or any institute in Chennai will not get the attention from the ICMR. So this ICMR, I'm not very sure whether it has changed the options of funding the private sector. But if you apply for funds, they will say we have mostly funds for the public sector. I would like to have the views from Uday Ghoshal after he has left from the public sector, from STPGI, and moving on to Apollo. What is his take on research by ICMR and support by ICMR? Because to me, ICMR is an important body which takes care of the head of research in India. But what is the productivity in terms of the
Okay.
encouraging the young researchers? I want the views from
Okay,
Chandrasekhar. I
Dr.
would like.
Shranay, I agree with you. And without taking the personal questions, the general
Okay.
information can be shared on this platform
Yeah,
because
yeah. I think
the
I.
entire world
I
is watching now.
But I
I
can
just
answer.
want to
yeah.
pinpoint not the specific question why I have not been sanctioned, why I was not denied.
No, I think
All
I
instead
can
of that,
answer
I
to your
agree with you.
question.
We will
I
have
can
question
answer
how to encourage our youngsters to take up research or your success stories. I know there can be some bias, but it's not a forum to discuss. Okay, over to Dr. Uday.
Yeah, I
Brief
think
comment about
I can
this.
answer to your question. When we talk about research funding, the funding does not only come from the government sector. like ICMR, TST, or DBT. Yes, you are right. Currently, the funding from government sector is more sort of inclined towards public sector hospital. But the funding is not only from government sector. I believe you can get funding from non-government organization. Now, third is that you can get also international grant. So therefore, I would say that I enjoyed more of this public sector or government sector grant when I was in SGP. But I would say here I'm sort of inclined to get more fund from the non-government organization and international bodies. That is one.
Can you
Second is,
specify NGOs? Some of the
yeah, that's what I'm meaning. The second is, see, when we do research, we want to patent. We want to get the patent into a sort of real application in the market. When you are in a public sector, as of now, patenting has been very, very difficult. Second, even the patent going to the market is practically impossible. In fact, central government now want every institution should open up a sort of something like a business center or whatever you may say. They have given a name to it. I remember in SGPJ, what is the name? I'm forgetting. Now, what happens?
Section 8
But
company. Section
yeah,
8 company.
now, but that doesn't happen, I tell you. In true sense, that doesn't happen. Because if I am a faculty member in SGPGI, on one side, you cannot open a company. But suppose if some other company market your product, he exploits. But nation wants that the research should lead to application, revenue generation, aging patient care for a lesser cost. And therefore, this is an opportunity that I have in private sector. In fact, first of my patent has already gone to market with full drug controller general of India approval. It is now there in the market.
So I think what was the cage, a bird has become a flying bird. The story is because of the some of the NGOs are supporting with this. I request all the people to be very brief in the question and answer because we have to take up 35 questions. Over
Okay.
to Dr. Jayanti. We'll come back to Dr. Shana again one more round. Jayanti, please.
Dr. Mohan, most of the studies that we're doing as original are all retrospective, so at least in public sector, non-institutional centers, we're not able to do any longitudinal prospective studies. We never get the patients back. So that is one issue. The second one, what's happening nowadays is with this chat, GPT and AI coming in, there's a phenomenal change that's taking place amongst youngsters. Recently, I was reading thesis and others. The language is totally that language does not belong to that candidate. Okay, so where do you think this Chat GPT and AI is going to take us in the future?
Yeah.
And the data also can be manipulated. The thesis can be manipulated. So where do you think the research is heading towards now with
Yeah,
this?
I'll take up the first one first. So, while retrospective studies are an easy way to do and it's much less expensive, it's not that we cannot do prospective studies. For example, in pure study, we have had, if you take ICMR Indab, half of the PIs, we had 31 PIs in 31 states. Half of them are private, half of them were government. Right from AIMS Delhi was one of the we have pure private practitioner from Ahmedabad who was also a PI. So I think it's a good mixture, and as Professor Uday Ghoshal said, the boundaries are actually blurring between private and if you take AIG, it is a purely private institution. How much funding he has got, how much he has been able to do, Shankar Netralaya, LV Prasad, MDRF. There are so many examples of purely private institutions which have also done well. The thing is that you have to start a cohort and start following. Of course, in the government, it's difficult. Not that it's easy in the private sector. In the private sector, they keep window shopping. They'll go from today, they'll be seeing me, tomorrow they'll go to my competitor, they'll keep going. But if you take a community, if you take a village, you take a community, you take a part of the city, then if you have a research team, you can follow them up. That's how we did cups and cars and Indab and all the pure and all the other. We can do that. Regarding PT and thing, it's unfortunate and it's fortunate. It's unfortunate because now as you say, the language, even when some of my people write, I know that they've taken the help of ChatGPT. Now, journals have also begun to accept that ChatGPT is actually going to become a good thing. So they only ask you, where have you used ChatGPT? They're not even telling you, have you used? Of course, the whole thing is written by ChatGPT, it'll be very obviously found out. But you can always use it to improve your language a little bit, because many people, their English is not very good. So after you write it, you tell ChatGPT, now improve this English. It will correct all errors and then give it to you. I think we should use it in the proper way. For example, I'll give you an example. There was a professor of biodiversity who came. This is the government. So I always like this. If I have a subject about which I know nothing, I'll tell him, okay, that and diabetes we have to write about now. I don't even know the spelling of biodiversity. Okay. So he is a government person. He said, I don't know anything about diabetes. I said, I don't know anything about biodiversity. So what I did in ChatGPT was, I said, tell me what the connection between biodiversity and diabetes. It gives 5 or 6 ideas. Oh, this is what it's all about. Now we'll start working on this. So you can always use it to your advantage to learn, because there's so much of information. In that case, we should not use PubMed, we should not use Google, we should not use anything. So it's another tool. Only thing is, when we were there, when all of us were there, we didn't have any of these things. We had to go to the journal, take the reference, write it down in a card, then get it. So we became good. We could memorize things, we could remember references, and all our skills, the clinical skills. We are all basic clinicians because we are taught how to inspect, palpate. Now who does all that? First CT only they'll do, or MRI only they'll do. Nobody even examine, they don't even auscultate. Oh, when you got X-ray and CT, why do you need to auscultate to find out whether the marma there or to find out whether the cavity there? So skills are being lost. It's very unfortunate, but it's bound to
I
happen.
think we can use as a limited where
Yes.
we want to improve the language and to get ideas.
To get an idea, but not to fully write it down.
Instead of write a research article with all data, you can't.
Correct.
And
And it will be often fabricated also, because ChatGPT also fabricates. If it doesn't know, it will fabricate.
That's right.
Okay, we start with the panelist, Dr. Thomas. Please, your question or comment.
Yeah, it was nice to listen to both the eminent speakers. But what I would like to say that we have problem. I worked in government sector from beginning till end, and it was very difficult to get funding. As Professor Shana said, it was very difficult. But what I decided was that with available resources which I had, for example, if I want to do research on IBS, see, when I found that tegaserod was introduced in the market, there's a specific instruction. It can be given only for females. Then I read about it and found out why it is not given in males. Then I found that in America, where they did the study, IBS constipation was rare in males. So, but in India, it was very common. So I decided that I will do a randomized double-blind control trial of tegaserod. And that was the study which has got a good Gerard score of 4. And soon after that, tegaserod got banned due to this QT interval prolongation. So my study in males remain as the only study in the world where tegaserod can be used. Understand? But it was I didn't have any much sort of research staff or anything. The another thing which I did was that I was having an interest to develop a research interest. That's very important. Like Dr. Mohan has an interest in diabetes. One has to develop a research interest. In medical college, where we have guided to many students, we'll be jack of all trades and master of none. That's one problem. So unless you sort of constantly focus on something and publish, you will never be recognized as an expert in a field. This is one thing we have to understand early in the field. So I decided that I will look on EHPVO. But then those days, I had no money. My salary was less than 1,000 rupees. I had to look after a family, and I didn't have money to buy paper to cyclostyle to make a pro forma. You know what I did? I looked up the operation theater notes and found one side of it is empty. So I used that for a 4-page pro forma, and I requested everyone in the department to fill it up, and regularly wrote letters to the patient so that I had contact. And for 15 years, I followed up the patient, and at the end, I studied and published. Okay, so I didn't have any money, but still I could manage. Irritable bowel syndrome is one area where we can do a lot of research in
At least
gastroenterology.
we emotionally connect with you.
Yeah.
Till now also nowadays one page is not utilized. In our hospital we use it also.
Yeah.
That is one
So,
thing. Number two is I agree with you, Tegasira.
I think what we need is a passion to do research and an inclination and that fire inside your inside your mind. No, I want to do research. I want to find an answer. There are, and when I attend conferences, rather than attending the subject, attend the what are the areas where I can do further research.
Oh, very
That's
good.
somebody
I
talk.
think
That
that
is
is
what I
the
do.
key. What other key that I understand? Use the available resources. Number
Yeah.
one, and
Yes.
number two. If you don't get research, don't get disappointed, and you have a thought or passion for research, you'll go ahead. What about Jayanta? Before LBK asks the question, Jayanta, you are also writing a lot of things that too in endoscopy, very difficult. Endoscopy doing research. So, what
Thank you,
is
sir.
your take, and what is the question you would like to ask or comment?
Yes, sir. Good evening. It was mesmerizing to hear both Professor Mohan and Professor Ghoshal, sir. Of course, I know Ghoshal, sir, for a long, long time. So this was one of the aspects where I had kind of completed my DM, then went into private, and then again came back to my alma mater in PGI. So my main question, I think probably we have progressed a lot in the field of research and publications. Where as a country, we have established ourselves as something which has a good potential. But still now I believe like Professor Mohan pointed out, he's published in NEJM and the other big high impact journals. And Dr. Ghoshal also mentioned about publication bias. So one of the major aspects that I've observed is both for the two large populations in the world, India and China, when the papers go outside into the West, invariably or inevitably majority are bound to get shot down. You understand my point? So the same topic, let's say a paper from India goes, or the same topic, or maybe a less well done paper from the US goes, the journal is more likely to take the US paper as compared to an Indian paper. So I would like both of them to comment on this aspect of it, because this becomes, because publication is obviously is the incentive for the researcher to move forward, something like that.
So I can go first. You're right that when a paper, in fact, when diabetes care actually ask you to review, they've removed that rule now. I said remove it, and now they removed it. They will tell you that look at the paper, and if you think it doesn't fit into the top 10% of all papers published last year in diabetes care, just reject it. Don't even read it. Just send it back. Imagine if it goes from India, where it will be in the first 10 or the below that. So that kind of, how can you read a paper and say last 10% of all the papers published last year? Is it even possible? Is it even an objective thing? So it's clear bias is there. But having said that, it's changing now, because still now from Africa, if we get a paper, we'll also be biased. Oh, it's come from Rwanda. What will they do in Rwanda, Malawi? We will also be biased. Today, with India and China improving, they don't take us so lightly now. And it all depends on the reviewer. Of course, more than the country bias, why the US guy rejecting? If it happens to me that if an American reviews it, I'm very happy. But if an Indian reviews it, I don't want to mention name, but if an Indian reviews it, it'll 100% be shot down because he doesn't want it to be published. So there's more bias within the country than outside the country. I think today it all depends on reviewers. And if 4 reviewers are saying it's good, it's good. If all the 4 say it's bad, it's very bad. The only problem comes if 2 say it's good and 2 it's bad. Then it depends on the editor. He will have to decide and he'll have to take a call. I think it's the peer
Mohan,
review system you can't change. So
Mohan, once you gave me the idea that Sandu, that if you are writing an article, better to involve multi-center or multinational, and your rejection chance will come down.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you go from one country, see, suppose you're publishing in New England Journal or something. If they are interested, I mean, if you tell them in Bihar it is like this and in Gujarat it is like that, in what way they are, but they won't even know where Gujarat is and where Bihar is. Whereas if you say India, Japan, China, US, it's like that. Oh, this becomes international study. You will find most of the publications in NEJM, Lancet, and all are multicentric. From single center, single thing, they're very difficult to get it in because they pitch it so high.
So
Nature and all is
the
impossible.
answer would be multi-center and multinational.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you want
that's
really high, but that doesn't
right.
mean
Yeah,
that you should not publish your own work. Even if you publish
yeah,
Indian Journal or one of the slightly lower journals, which have that's also good. That's why
That's
I
yeah,
the
said the
that's,
reason.
small piece of cake and the big piece of cake.
That's the
yeah,
reason Uday Ghosh will always have one Bangladesh author. I've seen 2 or 3 of many of his papers. You are multinational. One is Bangladesh and one Myanmar, something
no,
like
we work with the whole world, I tell you. that I work with US, Australia, all Asian countries, and also Latin American countries. So we have collaborator everywhere. One. Two is that, yes, Bangladesh was one of the collaborating center because we worked in the whole world and with particular bias towards Asia, including China, Japan, Thailand, Malaysia, and all this. But what I am trying to tell you is, Janta, that the answer to that is don't be confined to one center on or one state or one district. Go beyond. Because if the bird has to fly, there should not be any limit. It is open sky. Second thing is, I tell you that if suppose your question is very regional, do not send to an international journal because you yourself asked a question which is regional. So go to a regional journal, and that regional article may also have a huge citation.
Yeah.
That is the second. And third thing is that publication bias is very much there because if a journal, like let us say there is a journal which is specific for American population, if they find something, there is an article, the answer is very, very applicable to American population, they will publish. But suppose if you want to publish a paper on tropical sprue in a journal which is a typically American journal, why would they publish? So take a regional journal or Asian journal such as JGH. Our problem is we also don't recognize regional journal. That is one. And second is our another problem is we don't even cite our regional journal, which is not good. And third is, as Dr. Mohan said very rightly, many a time you get poor treatment of your article by your own colleagues, which is not good. We should promote our article. Okay, that should be our philosophy.
So your answer is more of this one. Choose the journal before you submit.
Yeah, that's right.
That is it. Dr. LVK, your question, comment, and your interaction.
So my comments are first. Then I think we have come a long way in at least promoting research. And majority of the times, I think we are able to do a clinical research, more strong a clinical study thing. But it takes nearly about 20 years or 25 years for you to get that much of caseload to really even look at retrospectively. I think like need about 20, 25 years to build up. Like it took me nearly 25 years to be in one institute, at least now to have some amount of caseload to think of all a few things. But I think we can do simple clinical research, as Dr. Mohan was telling. One of the things we looked at is the bacteriological profile of all the fistula in Crohn's disease, which, and we looked at it totally and entirely a different profile of bacteria. It was all Klebsiella, so the usual antibiotics were not useful, that one. And we also had a recently just looked at about consecutive patients of anorectal manometry, what we did in constipation, and found very, very heterogeneous findings, and it had to combine both with MR difficography to add a better service. So I think we can start off with the retrospective studies in our own place, what you have. And now in TNISG, it's very heartening to see that we have combined and started doing a multi-center studies. The latest one we got it published in Frontline Gastroenterology by our PLEX study in alcohepatitis. I think we need to have a very critical mass of people who can think alike in a department and put forth simple questions and then take it through. That is my thing. The second thing I want to know is if we do one particular, I want to ask both Dr. Ghoshal and Dr. Mohan that if we do some project or some research, and if that answers that outcome is not in tune with say a national data, it sometimes gets a little rejected. And what do you think it is? What do you think about it?
Negative studies usually have a sort of a poor sort of acceptance by the reviewer as well as editor. That is one. Second is you have to understand if there are national data. So the national data surely will have a lot of people who are nationally important. Like let us say if there's a task force study of ISG where 40 people are author. You have to expect that your paper will go to one of them as a reviewer. Now, if that particular person believed, based on the evidence which he produced, that this doesn't happen, there will be a negative bias. So therefore, I would say such studies have to be carefully drafted, because what you are seeing as negative may be the other end of the spectrum. What they describe may be another end of the spectrum. You are describing a different end of the spectrum. For example, we did a study where we found patient of ulcerative colitis, severe, who did not do well. They have a low platelet count. And this is quite different than the usual. Usual is patient with IBD with severe disease will have high, or the patient with active IBD will have high platelet count. So what we thought is then all the studies were case control study, took cases of ulcerative colitis, either in remission or active disease, and compared their platelet count. So therefore, platelet count is high in active disease. But in our population, it is severe ulcerative colitis who either died or needed surgery. We looked at, do they have DIC? Do they have consumptive coagulopathy? And we found, yes, we are right. So what happens is most of them have FDP positive, most of them have low fibrinogen, most of them have prolonged INR. And we described the other end of the spectrum is mild versus moderate, and our end of the spectrum is severe versus very severe. And this is because of the DIC, and paper was accepted in JGH. And you are totally against all the literature in the world what to talk about nasally.
And that's what happened in 2016 when we started treating hepatitis C under the CM scheme, where the interferon was given and sofosbuvir was given free of cost. We had about 145 patients, but the predominant genotype was 4. The reviewer did not accept. He said that the predominant genotype in India is 3, and that was rejected. So this is a problem sometimes we face on these things.
I can add to that. See, sometimes we come up with strange results. One of two things is possible. One, it may be a bias in our sample. We may be wrong. And so before we rush and publish, just keep that aside and look at another set and then see whether you're getting the same result. If you're getting the same result, you may be on to some big discovery or something which is totally different. So I don't think we should feel shy. I'll give you an example. Now we know that you all know about adiponectin, and we know that adiponectin is a friendly hormone. Therefore, in normal people, it will be normal. In people with diabetes, it will be low. In obesity, it will be low. So adiponectin being low is a bad thing. We know that. And adiponectin being good is a good thing. Now, one of my biochemists who was working with me, he had looked at type 1 diabetes, looked at normals, and looked at type 2 diabetes. And he sent his results to me. And in type 1 diabetes, adiponectin was very high. Okay. And then in normals, it was there. And in type 2, it was low. So I said, look, this is not possible. In diabetes, the adiponectin is low. So he said, no, sir, I'm sure about it. I said, okay, I'll send you another 100 type 1s. I'll send you another 100 controls, and I'll send you another set of 100 type 2s. He got the same result. I said, hey, this is something new. I never knew that in one type of diabetes, adiponectin will be high, and in another type of diabetes, it will be low. And if this is true, we can use adiponectin to say whether it's type 1 or type 2 diabetes. See, completely different thing. So we published saying that adiponectin can be used because if it is below a certain point, it has to be type 2. If it's above a certain point, it rules out type 2. So we did the 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation. We found the cut point where it cuts, and we said adiponectin as a test to find out whether you have type 1 or type 2 diabetes. Now, that guy, he didn't know that adiponectin is low in things. So he was not a clinician. So he came up with the discovery. But as a clinician, I knew maybe he is wrong. So we had to do it again. When we did it again and we proved its thing, then it becomes a discovery. So we should not be afraid or shy to challenge people, but you must be sure about your finding before. If you get a funny result, always confirm.
So your take is if you have a result, something, different from the routine,
You need not be wrong. You can be right.
you can repeat with more samples and come with
Absolutely.
a new idea.
Confirm it.
Like a Barry Marshall, when he started telling that
H. pylori. Nobody
H.
believed it.
pylori, nobody believed. In fact, his paper
And he
was
took it
rejected.
himself. Yeah.
So himself had to do that, even that, and he could not grow the culture because everything traditionally they were keeping it for 2 days. And one weekend happened that the samples were not thrown out. So the long weekend it comes in the Tuesday.
Just
He
like
finds
penicillin and
grown.
Fleming, similar
Then he
thing.
realized that it has to be grown for 4 days. After that, everything was successful for it. I think you may be
Yes, do you mean
Other
people
thing,
should be given long holidays?
the other thing
Yes.
we can
okay.
always
See, Shanai, your question and comment, Dr. Shanai. The second round starting now. Dr. Shanai is with us. Dr. Shanai, Dr. Jain, Dr. Shanai, your questions?
Yeah. Tell me.
No, your any other comment question to Dr. So,
So
what are
I think both Dr. Mohan and Dr. Uday mentioned about multicentric studies and collaboration. I think I fully agree that what we lack in India is collaboration. I think India as a country could produce more papers than China or the US had we collaborated 20 years ago. Not at this time. At this time also it is not bad.
Not too
I
late.
think collaboration is the most important. Mohan will agree with me that your collaboration is the one which brought out many important partners like Salim Yusuf in the pure study, or like Braganza in the study with chronic pancreatitis from Manchester.
Yes.
So I think we were not very keen on collaborations in our the so-called seniors. But I think the current generation, the research should be more multicentric or multi-country and more collaborative. It gives a much visibility for the study.
I think
Not
I
only
fully ended.
visibility,
we have some.
ownership also increases. See,
Yeah.
suppose
Yes.
you collaborated with 30 people, those 30 people will talk about your study. Otherwise, only you're talking about your study. So
I think
that's
I fully
And
endorse.
moreover, when your study is done with the multiple countries, it will appear in their website.
correct.
It will be not in only one. For example, my work with Nottingham University, I don't have a website, but Nottingham University projected all my research in their website. So you start getting collaborators asking for further research.
So, Dr.
Mohan,
your take is
your
now.
views on this.
Yeah. Before he tells
The
that, I
other,
just want to tell
the
you,
other aspect of
Dr. Shanai, your take is now to start, even if it is late, also multicentric. So that's the reason why we now just initiated Pan India
Yeah,
Gastroenterology Research.
I have seen the list of topics, and I am very sure whichever topic you give to me, either one or two,
And I want
I
Jayanta to
will
be a
make it as a
senior guide to our youngsters. The idea is so-called less academic or the private and the low volume centers can combine together to do the kind of study. So I want all the seniors who are in the prime academic centers to cooperate and collaborate with the people all over the country. So that's the reason I given the title Pan India Gastroenterology Research Study Group. In short, it will be called as Pages Group. Pages, PA, Pan India.
I will be one of the pager with you.
Okay, thank you. That's the reason I think Mohan endorsed the
only
name
the
given
other
to
thing, the other thing we can always do is what we do is you can also work with the universities which are there. It cannot be always be medical university. Like we work with Bharatiya University. They the PhD candidate comes. So we gave cases for gene profiling, and that one PhD candidate has done it. That came out to be a nice paper which got published in the Indian Journal of Gastroenterology. Now, somebody comes with esophageal malignancy, we can always collaborate and do it with our university. They don't need always medical university. That's what I feel. Now we started a study from the Department of Oncology and us, esophageal malignancy, where the research scholar comes and then we have a multi study. So that's one other
Dr.
thing.
Jayanti, your question while just completing. I think LVK, your point is well taken. There is a dichotomy between, the doctors and the industry and IIT. all these group are
Once
Institute of
I also
Technology,
remember
they
the
want to
research,
help us.
Nathan telling that we don't use the like Indian Institute of Science and NCBS and even this molecular biology medicine of in Hyderabad is supposed to be extremely
ACMB.
institute where we can collaborate, and they are quite this thing.
Dr. Jayanti, your second round starting now.
To both of you, writing the paper, no, you collected the data and then writing the paper. At least takes me 2 or 3 months to write one original paper. I mean, no help from anyone. And I start with the methodology, then I come to the results section. Then of the rest of the introduction, this thing is easy. How long does it take to write an original paper? I mean, if you have to do it on your own without any support, anyone.
It'll take time. I mean,
Takes time.
at least every paper of ours, not less than 10 drafts of it will be done before.
So it takes
Because
that
once
time.
you spend more time with it, the reviewer will not pick up. Otherwise, your reference will be wrong, something will be wrong. So they know the quality is not good. If you send a shabby one with all typos, this, that, they know you're not spent enough time on it. So you read it, you think about what the reviewer will think, how they will react, what will be in their mind, and you put down your own limitations of the study. Once you do all that, there's nothing for them to read. They'll, oh, he has answered everything, he has asked everything. Whereas if you don't put down any limitations, you say we are first in the world, we are first, you overclaim, then they will shoot it down. Nobody likes things. So be modest, put down the limitations, read it again and again and again, check for errors, check for things. So there's no harm in, ICMR INDAP study to do the whole country, it took us 12 years to do. But we took 2 years to plan the study.
Exactly.
Because that only resulted, that's the Nature Medicine paper, because the quality of the study is so good that nobody can touch that study, because 2 years you've taken to plan to do it. It's not a waste at all. The Japanese method is like that. They'll spend a lot of time planning. Then they will do. Once you do, you cannot touch them. We are in a hurry to do, and we'll forget small things, and we'll make a lot of errors. Always get it right.
The pressure to publish also sometimes for you to promotion leads you to probably put you onto predatory journals, and I think institutes also should give us some incentive. You publish something, there should be some incentive for you to at least monitor institutes that you have published on a good thing.
Correct.
Everybody says congratulations, you have published on nothing was thing, but otherwise. When I was working in France, your salary is 25% higher if you are in the research INSERM.
Should be like
that. If you work in INSERM than in a clinical work, INSERM is a research thing of France. 25% is your higher salary if you work in an INSERM. So sometimes you are encouraged to be in INSERM and then take on duties in the clinical side and then promote your research. That is one.
You mean financial incentives from the...
It is higher. 25% of pay is higher. If you are getting
Once,
1,000 euros,
in the
you
lighter
get 1,250 euros.
The lighter sense, I told them that any of my colleagues, they present a paper and publish a paper, I will give you X amount as an incentive. So that is also one way of, not that they are for money, is a kind of, I should say, some kind of incentive can be there. And Varghese, your question now?
Yeah, now coming to incentive, I once got a grant for a study, and what I decided, I found the progress very bad. I had a lot of residents, but I said I will give 100 bucks per performer. There was a competition to fill up all the performer, and at the month end they will come say I have filled up this many performer, like that. So some incentive is actually needed. Then I would also like to stress, sir, when I started in Calicut Medical College, my institution was never seen Indian map. Okay, then I decided that I will join all available collaborative studies in India by ISG, INASL, etc. So myself will be in the circle and my institution will be known. So gradually, those papers got published and people started recognizing. So there is one chap in South India where doing research, like S.K. Acharya says, oh, call that chap from Calicut, like that. Okay, like that. So gradually we collaborated with CCMB in Hyderabad, and I had no way of doing any genetic study in a state government institution. Impossible. So what I decided, I had enough chronic pancreatitis cases. I want to do genetics. So I collaborated with CCMB, Chandak, and in that collaboration, we supplied the blood and samples, clinical details, etc. I had 8 papers, collaborative papers of great standard, published even in Nature and other things. Okay. So collaboration is important. We have to believe somebody. Otherwise, we will simply sit on the data and never publish it. So we have to collaborate.
So you are for the
collaborate.
your collaboration and incentive. LVK
Yeah.
wants also some kind of incentive to the junior. What about Jayanta? Your question and comment, second round.
Second one.
I think we're talking a lot about collaboration, but the issue is that collaboration should also have its, the collaborative part should have everything underlined and properly detailed in the protocol as to who becomes the first author, who becomes the last author, who takes what, how many authors will be listed as part of the contribution, something like that, which is very, very non-existent in a place like India. I have been thankfully being part of some of the collaborations where I am the PI also as well with people from outside India. And when I get their protocols, or let's say when I share my protocol with them, so these are the things which are clearly laid down. Like I'll give a very good example. In the GI field, everybody is aware of the Dutch Pancreatic Study Group. I mean, they're a whole country that come together to publish, and every second article of them get published in either NEJM or Lancet or some place like that. But if you look into they started with collaboration like 15, 20 years back. And if you look into their collaborative team, there will always be a first author, a second author. So when I ask their team as to how they do the collaboration, so they say that all this is sequentially and cyclically kind of pre-decided. So let's say today one center decides that that person is going to be the first and the last author. Irrespective of whoever comes up with the idea for that particular next trial, the next person in line will automatically get the first authorship and the last authorship. So that is how their collaborative group has been working for the last 20 years, which is a big deal for them.
Which is this group, Jayanta?
Dutch Pancreatic Study Group.
The Dutch Pancreatic Study Group,
Yes,
no?
yes.
We have taken the role model of that.
Very unique of the Dutch postgraduate education is after you finish a med school, you don't get into gastroenterology or don't get cardiology. But that particular center, I think you do 4 years of research. I've seen in academic medical center, they do after their med school, they are 4 years into gastroenterology research. Then they are given a specialization for another 4 years of training in gastro. So before they come over into a clinical gastroenterology work, there are 4 years into research. They work on some projects on research, and then then go and become a gastroenterologist.
Okay, now we are coming to the end of the webinar, the last 7 minutes mine. So I want to know the offline personalities of yours so that will be inspiring all the delegates who have logged in from all over the world. Mohan, everyone is saying that you are inspiring to many. Who inspires you, or who has been inspiring apart from your dad, known to me? I mean,
Yeah.
whom
So
you say, my God, I would like to be like that. Who is that?
When I was in college, Dr. C. Gopalan, the nutritionist, he got FRS, and he's one of the few medical doctors in India to have got FRS from the Royal Society London. So from his nutrition books, I was very, very inspired by him. Later on in my career, Dr. Badrinath of Shankar Nethralaya was a great inspiration, not just in research, but his approach and his humility in the way he built the institution. So there have been a few, and then of course abroad I've had great inspiration from many of my mentors abroad who were my teachers, and they mentored me.
Oh.
So I've had great people to
So
look
you
up.
had Gopal and the Dr. Badrinath and very many people. Now the next question I want to ask Dr. Ghoshal. What is the famous quotation you really love to? My God, this is the one really inspires me. Okay, I would like to tell that quotation. What is that?
Can you repeat?
What is the famous quotation or which really inspires you every day?
Yeah,
Quote.
very difficult question.
Because
I believe in one thing, that if you get a challenge, it is not a challenge, it is an opportunity. And I presented that also. So getting a challenge is equal to an opportunity is my goal.
Okay, you see opportunity in the challenge, not the problem in the challenge. So you are more of an optimistic. Very good. Dr. Jayanti, what was the turning point in your research career? Which one? My God, till the time I was sleeping, okay, this is the one I got it. This is where is this one? What is it? Whom did you
because
meet?
after MBBS, moment I came to MD, the research, this thing opportunity opened. So actually, when I was doing my internship, yes, I remember during the ward rounds, I saw three patients, where the urine by the side of the windowsill was brown, and the patient was having pain, and the patient was giving compost and all those drugs. And I took that sample and I said, let me check for porphyria. I knew something is turning brown. And
Okay.
in a span of a few days or so, 3 or 4 cases just propped up as porphyria. So my Colonel, Dr. Krishnan, who was in Apollo, he was my mentor. So I still have the diary where he said an intelligent, hardworking person. I mean, those were the challenging times when I could make that was basically clinical medicine.
So that
But
was
I
the
did just
turning
that.
point. Some of the patient, challenging patient. Dr. Varghese, who
Yeah.
is the hero in your life?
My hero is my own mentor, Professor Vinay Chandran Nair, who, when I was an MD student, he handed over 5 case sheets to me and said, these are duodenal obstruction of 5 different causes. You write a paper. And I wrote a paper and sent it off in JAPI. I never had any idea of, I never saw the journal, but sent it off. But my MD professor of medicine, one day takes the journal and show it to me. See, your article has come. I am finally an MD only at that time. So the professor is one of the terror.
So your hero is your professor.
Yeah, professor.
Dr. Jayanta, who is your heroine?
Heroine.
I'm going to ask diverse questions, so you can't guess it. But I really don't know what will be the second one.
But
Okay.
this is
Who
most
is your
difficult
heroine,
question that you
Jayanta?
asked.
Huh? What's that?
This is the most difficult question that you asked.
Okay, who is your heroine?
Heroine.
This is for Jayanta, not for you.
Jayanta, nobody
This
else.
is not for you.
I know many, but I want to tell one.
The youngest and handsome. Yeah.
No, that's the reason. Not that I know.
No, I'll be honest, my heroine is my wife. Why I'm telling you because
Great.
Safe answer, safe answer.
yeah,
No,
safest answer, and
Very
I'll
good
justify this
answer.
by saying that she's also a
The heroine
gastroenterologist.
means you should not always think only movie heroine.
No.
Can be your mother.
So
Can
he's
be
very
your
smart.
class
He has
teacher.
given the
Can be...
appropriate answer. He's very smart. He's
Tell me
smarter
one
than
answer
you.
before I move on to Dr. LVK.
So I told her, my wife.
Okay, right. I think your wife is listening. You will have a very good dinner today. And LVK, what is the non-medical book you have read recently?
Biography of Ratan Tata.
Okay, very good. I
It
love
was
that
very
also
good,
that
Ratan Tata. Somehow my patients just gifted to me.
is Dr. Katie Sanai is around? If not, Dr. Mohan. And if you want to change one decision in your life, which one will change?
Change a decision.
Mohan also thinking means, okay. I thought you will immediately rattle.
I could have probably stayed 1 or 2 more years abroad, and because my father wanted me to come back, I spent only about less than 2 years abroad. I think if I'd spent another couple of years abroad, I would have probably got a still wider vision than I had.
Same thing, I also felt that I should have stayed 2 more years in PJ Chandigarh before I came down to. In fact, Dr. S.K. Mehta offered me a job. So why don't you stay that time, Tamil Nadu, I got the the position I came there. Anyway, that's a nice answer. If there is anything, a mistake, I shouldn't have done it. I mean, professionally, I'm asking, Uday, what is a mistake you done?
Very difficult. I don't think I have made a mistake. If I made a mistake, I would not be
No,
here.
it is not honest from your answer, it looks like.
Yeah, not really. I would think.
Okay. Well, you are thinking, Jayanti, if not being a
Yeah,
doctor.
I can answer you. Maybe what I did not do is that like Dr. Mohan was saying, that I could have stayed abroad. Now, I did not go abroad at all.
So for you, about the rules
So
of the game,
actually,
same answers
maybe
should not
if
come.
I would have gone for a little time immediately after my post-graduation, it would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
So that is one thing I did not do. So that is
Okay.
the answer to your question.
Yeah, but the rules of the game, same answer should not be given. Okay, you want to stay in Jayanti, if I had not been a doctor, I would have been. What is that?
I think there was no other option for me because of my other issues.
No, the
So
question is hypothetical.
no, I would not know. No, so there was nothing to be offered to me right from I
That
remember
means any area. Okay.
third standard onwards. It was I had to be a doctor. That was father's aim. So I mean, for other issues.
So you would have
So
been
that
only the doctor.
even now I feel this was the best, and I've reached what I could with this profession.
Jayanta, you have got everything in the world now. What is the biggest ambition? Okay, I would like to become like this. What is that? The ultimate ambition for you, Jayanta only. Like a school, you are asking. You ask question, they will look at the next boy.
Okay. I don't know. I'm a hardcore endoscopist. I think my ambition.
Now the question is the biggest ambition in your life. You have got everything in your life. This is what I wanted. I got it. What is that?
Maybe to build an institute like Professor Reddy has done.
Okay, that is a very big ambition.
you only told me to give the biggest ambition.
Right. I loved it. You want to, Varghese, you want to redo one thing in your thing. What do you do?
Before that, I will answer Jayanta's question. When I went for PSC, they asked me what is the biggest ambition in life. I said I want to win Nobel Prize in Medicine.
Oh, that's very good answer. I thought Jayanta would say like that. No?
But I am far, far, far away from that.
Okay, now a rapid one-word answer. Work-life balance. Mohan, one word. Work-life balance.
Easy.
Take
If
it
you,
easy.
yeah, it's quite easy. Just
Jayanti,
plan your work.
plan your work, easy. Jayanti? Unmute.
You muted.
I'm organizing myself and
Organization skill. Varghese, your work-life balance.
Yeah, initially in my younger days, it was very bad, but
One word answer.
Now it is fine. Perfect.
It is, no. Work-life balance, how do you do that? That's a question.
With good time management.
classes.
Time and organization. Jayanta, your work-life balance.
Same, sir. Planning and time management, yeah.
And LVK?
I think the same thing. It's you need to really structure your work and then do your balance, time and balance.
Keep
Has
your
no time
family.
and no, he has no time and
Uday, what is your work-life
Time and,
balance?
I go very late also at home.
Yeah. So my work-life
okay,
balance
I think,
is, oh yeah, time.
I work till,
Yeah. My work-life balance is make a team and manage the time.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm not too
Last question. Hobby, Mohan.
Music.
Music. Jayanta.
Music, sir. Yeah.
Same answer, not okay. LVK?
Not really. Now I'm not able to follow up any hobbies as it is.
So no hobby.
Work
Okay.
as of now.
Varghese, what is your hobby?
Flying drones. I am a drone pilot.
Okay,
Wow,
right.
really?
Jayanti, your hobby is
It's tennis, watching tennis.
watching?
Tennis.
Tennis. Uday, your hobby is?
Writing Bengali poem and painting. So this
I think,
is
ladies
my
and
book of
gentlemen, will
Bengali
agree
poem.
with me. I
This
must thank the delegates who really logged in from all over the world. I must congratulate and really feel proud of both the speakers. The Dr. Mohan is said, plan it, and nothing is late for you to start the work. Even though I started in secondary MBBS, but for you it may be different. So start publishing. It is not for name or fame, but the kind of knowledge you share is great. And the second speaker, Dr. Uday, he told the challenges and convert all your adversaries into advantages, all the stumbling block into the building blocks, and the excellent moderators and panelists. I should congratulate all of you, and we had a wonderful 2-hour session on doctor and research and doctor research in developing countries like India, challenges and opportunities. Thank you very much for once again on behalf of American College of Gastroenterology for this wonderful time spent with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you,
night.
madam. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.